Welcome everyone once again. Welcome to A.O.S Academy's YouTube channel. Here we'll talk about everything related to language studies, we'll talk about exam preparations, and we even talk about the Canada immigration process. If you are someone that would like to actually work on your immigration to Canada or your visas to Canada, be it your study visa or your work visa, or if, for instance, you would want to work on permanent residency, then you can reach out to us. As you know already, today we always talk about the question and answers, or we always talk about the questions that were asked by attendees of our JAPA to Canada in 2023 webinar session. So today is not going to be different. We are going to be continuing with our webinar session, which is centered on the question that was asked by one of our attendees. And this question was very important, so we wanted to actually respond to it. It was the question 106 by Million Mebratu Sima from Ethiopia. He asked the question. He said, I am a fresh graduate looking for a job. Is it possible that I can get a work permit in Canada? So this person, as I said once again, is from Ethiopia, Million Mebratu Sima, and the question was extracted from our JAPA to Canada in 2023 webinar Q&As. Now, thank you very much, Mr. or Ms. Sima. That's a very good question. The question is related to one of the questions we have been taking for some time now. People that are graduates or are in the process of completing their studies want to know their opportunities to relocate to Canada on the basis of having a job. Well, based on your country, I would state that you have about 2 to 3 different ways you can move to Canada in order to go look for a job and get the work permit. The very first way that I will talk about is what we know as the International Experience Canada. If you are part of the partner members or the partner nationalities that are approved to actually move to Canada on the basis of 3 criteria, then I would state that yes, you can actually relocate to Canada under the International Experience Canada pathway. And this is a pathway that is more or less the temporary residency pathway that you could use to go to Canada, go get your work experience for at least 2 years. That's the criteria. One of the criteria is that you need to be a fresh graduate and you need to be part of the 64 to 65 member states, or 63 rather, 63 member states that are allowed to actually come to Canada. We have the African countries permitted, the European countries, and also the Asian countries. If you are part of the 36 partner countries that have a kind of youth mobility agreement with Canada, then you can actually be part of it. And how exactly will you know how you are part of that, how your country is actually part of that treaty or the agreement by the Canadian body? It's very simple. All you just need to do is go on the website, the link, or click on the link that I actually shared on the chat section now, and you could go and check your country to see if your country is part of the country that has agreement with Canada to allow its fresh graduates to actually relocate to Canada under the International Experience Canada. And other criteria you would have to have in order to go to Canada as that kind of professional is that you have to qualify for any of the 3 sub programs under the International Experience Canada program. And the sub programs that we know about that you could actually go under is either the work holiday visa. We have the work holiday visa for International Experience Canada. We also have the young professionals visa that you could actually go through, or the pathway you could go through. And the last pathway is the International Co-op Internship pathway. This is the co-op that, just like the name states, you would be placed into an internship in a company in Canada in order to work for them for the duration of at least 2 years before you come back to your home country. So these 3 different sub programs, they are mostly either employee specific work permits. They will grant you either employee specific work permit, or sometimes they would give you the open work permit, especially if you are going through the working holiday pathway. And if you want to know more about it, you can just click on that link that I shared on the channel on the chat section in order to go through the Canadian immigration website to know what it entails. And it's quite a cheap pathway to actually go. You don't need too much proof of funds. You don't even need to have a lot of money for your processing, because with about $161 Canadian dollars now, you will be able to actually get, do you understand, that visa, the permission to actually relocate. And it's actually it's not, I would say it's not really long. It's not, the processing period is not really long. Within 7 weeks, 8 weeks, that's about 2 months, you would get your approval to actually relocate if you definitely have all the credentials or documents that are being asked. So for the work holiday and the young professionals, some of those sub programs don't require you to have your job offer, a particular job offer, but the other program, the co-op or the co-op placement, which is that of the internship, you will need to actually have a job offer, and you may be needing to be registered in a student in a school. You understand, whether you are just quickly graduating from that particular school, or maybe you just graduated within some few months or years down the line, and you want to get that opportunity. And it is some of the programs, like for the working holiday program, we know that it allows you to work with more than one employer at a time in Canada. But for that of the young professionals, you may be restricted to work with only just one, you understand, one employer at the same time. And you can earn as much as you want under either the work holiday, the young professionals, or even the co-op internship program. And the beauty of it is that it allows you to actually go with, you understand, go alone. You are not permitted to actually go with anyone. So if you are a single person that you just graduated, it's a very good program for you to go and explore Canada and see if it is a place that you would like to, you understand, process your permanent residency and stay there permanently. So another way you could go, if for instance you are someone that have not say to speak, you don't have, do you understand, you are not part of the participating countries to work and travel in Canada. If you are not part of the countries, take for instance as a Nigerian, the Nigeria, you understand, the country Nigeria is not added to the participating countries to work and travel to Canada through the International Experience Canada, you understand, program. So as a result of that, there are still other ways we could go to actually get that work permit if we are not part of the participating countries. You can go through the open work permit, or even the closed or the employer specific work permit. This is quite different from the International Experience Canada program. Why do I say that? Is because it allows you not to you will not be restricted to actually stay in Canada for 2 years, depending on the work contract you have with your employer. So if you get a job, for instance, maybe a cleaning job or a chauffeur job, or you get even, you understand, a low skilled job, maybe as a plumber, as a you understand, physician, any job you get whatsoever, depending on the contract you have with your employer, do you understand, on a normal open work permit or a normal closed work permit, you can at least stay from about 1 year down to at least 2, 3, and even 5 years, depending on the contract you have with your employer, and depending on even the type of work permit you are applying for. If it is an open work permit, you could stay more, you understand, in Canada than, you understand, than the restriction on a particular contract that you get from your employer. So those are two different ways you could go to, as a fresh graduate, to go get work permit in Canada to study, either through the International Experience Canada IEC program, or through the normal work permit, just by first of all getting a job offer from a Canadian online, do you understand, and later on working with that particular, do you understand, that particular employer to actually relocate. And one thing you have to note is that for the IEC, the most of the programs do not require LMIA, but for the work permits they may require the LMIA. And what do we know as the LMIA? It is the labor market impact assessment, you understand, report, which will state that it is actually a positive thing to have you in Canada, or a neutral thing to have you in Canada. If the report states that it's a positive report or a neutral report, it just means that there is no other Canadian or permanent resident currently in Canada that can take up that job, or that is willing to take up that job. So as a result of that, do you understand, they require expatriates or expats from other countries to come and take up those jobs. So as a result of that, you would be given a positive or a neutral report stating that your employment in Canada would not affect all other liable employees in Canada, and you would get the opportunity to actually relocate and work in Canada as a fresh graduate, so that you even gain experience in the process and be able to actually, at the end of the day, file for your permanent residency if that is what you are actually vouching for. And if not, you can come back to your own country after gaining experience and start up as you understand, as a local skilled worker. So thank you very much. I hope that answers the question. If you have any questions, drop it on the comment section, and try as much as possible to subscribe to this YouTube channel, like this video, and share with your friends and family. Also, hit on the notification bar in order to get updated anytime we drop a content. So thank you very much, and I do hope to see you in our next video. Bye for now.